Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are, Full Fire Gamers. Hope you're having a splendiferous day. But today we are talking about the top 10 cards from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This set is shaping up to be interesting. There's certainly some cards from it that could see quite a bit of impact. So, quite excited for this set. Um, but without much further ado, let's get into it. But just a reminder before we start that you can buy all of your sealed product and singles from Full Fire TCG in store only. So make sure you get down to the Gloucester docks to buy your singles and sealed product. Trust me, if you need any Teenage Mutant Ninja stuff, we've got you covered. So let's stop gabbing. Let's get into this. So, honourable mention is Surveillance Camera or Cam. This was something that when I got spoiled, I overlooked it a little bit, but it's interesting card. So it's a single blue artifact, and it has flash. When this artifact enters or leaves the battlefield, you may tap or untap target creature, and you may play 3 in a blue. Sacrifice this artifact to draw 2 cards. This basically just screams like a combo card. I admittedly, when I initially thought it spawned, I thought it was a creature, and I almost fell off my chair thinking how great Splinter Twin's going to be, getting a 1 mana flash creature. But no, this is slightly different. It is an artifact, it's not a creature. So there's some interesting stuff you can do with this with like Emery, Goblin Engineer. It does tap or untap on leave and ETB. So there's stuff you can do like get it back with Emery, untap Emery, tap Emery again, get back Mox Opal, sacrifice this, untap Emery, and like this. There's so many like different loops you can do with it. But I'm not sure how this deck builds or whether it will be powerful in modern or modern Pioneer. So just one to keep an eye on, and that's why it's in the honourable mention. Number 10, we have Mutagen Man Living Ooze. So it's a green green and X Ooze mutant. It is legendary. It's a trample. It has trample. Activate abilities of artifact tokens you control cost 1 less to activate. And when it enters, you create X mutagen tokens. Now, mutagen tokens are artifacts that are 1 and tap. Sacrifice this token, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. And it's a 2/3. So very interesting card. Good on rate. Two mana 2/2 is not a terrible stat line. Probably the stat line you prefer in current standard. And its ability is not gated by can't reduce to less than 1. So mutagen becomes free. Maps become free. Stuff like blood, if you go back to Pioneer and backwards, become free. So any sort of tokens that tap and make a cost, even clues go down to 1. So there's all those sort of things that this could be a very interesting combo card, or just a good value card of I'm going to make a bunch of maps and mutagens and then just chuck them onto things for free, which could be a possibility. Obviously goes well in a deck like Forensic Gadgeteer, because that also reduces the activate abilities of your artifacts. This one is just tokens though, so it doesn't get stuff like eggs or stuff like that. But moving on. At number 9, we have Raph and Mikey, Troublemakers. So Raph and Mikey is a 7 mana total, so it's 5 generic, and then hybrid green red for a 7/7 legendary mutant ninja turtle, understandably so, with trample and haste. And when they attack, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So if you're playing some sort of indomitable creativity style deck, whether that be in Pioneer or Modern, this is just another copy of your chosen target, or just any sort of big fatty, which is why I've put that there, that you want it to get out of your deck. So, if you're playing, for instance, Archon in the modern version, this is Archon number 5. If you're playing Atraxa in Gorios, for instance, then this is Atraxa number 5, so on and so forth. just an interesting card. Like these style cards do tend to do well. Maybe not in standard, but certainly further back, these can be quite powerful. Like Goryo using this in just to get a flip, because if you can make like a full like only legends creature deck, so like this Gristlebrand, Atraxa, Emrakul, all of those can go, and then you can just flip until you hit it. So sort of building like a create. You guess you could build like a creativity deck with Goryo's instead of Persist, which is what it currently is. There's all these interesting ideas you can do, and that's why I put it in at number 9. In number 8, I have Leonardo's Technique, which is white and a free, and it also has a sneak cost of 1 and a white. So for those who don't know yet, sneak it's basically like ninjutsu. You may cast this for its sneak cost if you also return an unblocked attacker you control to hand during the declare blocker step. So you have combat, you declare attackers, your opponent has the opportunity to respond. If they don't, we move into declare blockers, and it's that step that if they're not blocked, then you're able to use the sneak part. But the ability is return 1 or 2 target creature cards, each with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this reads like a little bit like Collected Company, where you get 2 free cost cards, and we've seen decks in the past, like I'm thinking Amalia from Pioneer before, where this kind of effect would have been great because you just get to pick the 2 cards that combo, and you're off to the races. So if we start to see any maybe 2-card combos, 2-card creature combos in standard, then that could be something that this card maybe gets a little bit more stock. But other than that, you still are getting, potentially 6 mana's worth of cards out from your graveyard onto the battlefield. It's probably good in some sort of mid-range style deck. Maybe Skirmish Rhino is finally good enough. Who knows? But I think this is one that's a bit of a grower, not a shower. Hoi hoi. And it will start to be more powerful as we get into some of the later standard sets, maybe. At number 7, I have Armagon, Future Shark. Yes, we are still talking about Superior Spider-Man. Unfortunately, Superior Spider-Man is becoming more and more of a mainstay in the meta in standard right now. And people are just picking reasonable cards to play and just putting Superior Spider-Man on top of them. So we're starting to see it, with the Demir Excruciator. They're using it to get Deceit primarily, but they're also using it to get the Excruciator in on the board quicker. Obviously Reanimator, like I said, is using all of the Evoke Elementals alongside its usual package of Arden and Bring of the Last Gift. So the reason I pointed out this card is when we were playing the Reanimator deck, sort of early doors, something I believe I said was sometimes you just want Ravenous Chupacabra in your deck to be like, okay, Superior Spider-Man, get it out of the graveyard, kill something. And this is Ravenous Chupacabra, 3 of them stapled together. So it's black, and 6 for a legendary shark horror mutant. It has flash, and when it enters, destroy up to 3 target creatures, and it's a 9/6. Like I say, if you want to look back at the older versions of the Reanimator deck where it was playing Vein Ripper, this is something that's good with that Vein Ripper rather than Harvester because it's like a guaranteed kill of creatures rather than just giving them -X and hoping you kill a certain amount. But I don't think the deck goes back to that way, but it's just something to bear in mind. But yeah, this is just Ravenous Chupacabra in the graveyard, ready for Superior Spider-Man to become a copy of. Number 6, I have Leatherhead Swamp Stalker. So if Slippery Boggle and Trigon Predator got together and had a child, it would look like this abomination. So Leatherhead Swamp Stalker is a green, and 2 for a legendary Crocodile Mutant Rogue. It has Trample, and she enters with a hexproof counter. When Leatherhead deals combat damage to your player, you may remove a counter from her, and when you do, destroy target artifact or enchantment that player controls. So, obviously, This is a 4-mana hexproof creature, not something we see very often anymore, hexproof at all. So this can be a really good holder of equipment or enchantments if you want to go that way. And the buyout is I can hit you with my big nasty 5/4 and just remove the ability to have hexproof to kill the artifact or enchantment that's giving me trouble. So against like Lessons, Artist Talent, Monument, um, stuff like that. And then also, like I say, on the other side of it, it can just be okay. Leatherhead, give it the Sheltered by Ghosts to remove something. It's now got a lifelink. Give it Ethereal Armors in standard. So like there could be something. The Slippery Boggle side of the card is good, but I think if you can get extra counters on it as well, then the Trigon Predator side of it means you don't need to remove the hexproof counter. You just remove the like +1/+1 counters or whatever, or even -1/-1. So this is really good to blight onto, which isn't even something I've considered until just right this second. So if you're playing like a green-black version of like Ouroboros or something like that, Leatherhead can like really churn out your opponent's artifacts and enchantments through a combination of requiring Hex blighting onto it or Ouroboros giving it +1/+1 counters, stuff like that. So yeah, so I think this card's good on rate. The only problem I have with this card is 4 mana, and 4 mana is asking quite a lot in current standard, because you have in current standard 4 mana is winning the game. So it's stuff like Ouroboros. This is the fastest standard we've seen in probably recent memory. It's not unbalanced. It's just very fast. So I don't know if playing a 4 mana 5/4, even with hexproof and all these other abilities, and just going pass, is going to win you the game, unfortunately. But that remains to be seen. But it's a sweet card all the same. In number 5, Artist Talent Gran, you are on notice because we have Tokka and Razar, terrible 2s. So it's hybrid red black, it is a legendary Turtle Wolf Mutant. Right, okay. This spell can't be countered and it has Menace. Whenever a player casts a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast it was less than its mana value, Tokka and Raza deals 3 damage to that player. So this is going to be something that mono red players will put in their sideboard. They'll bring it in versus Lessons. It will get Firebending lessened and then we will move on. But again, it's one of those, like, that's how mono red sort of interacts with these spell based decks, is it just layers hate upon hate upon hate upon hate, like it going, I don't know, what's the card called, Mage, it goes Mage Vein Lizard, they kill it. You go Tokka and Raza, they kill it. You go the other red one that draws cards, Razorkin Needlehead, that Gazwian draws cards, Razorkin Needlehead, like it's just laying all these hateful hate bears together, and at some point the Lessons player can't keep removing it. You'd think they can keep removing everything, but depending on how many cards they've drawn, they possibly could. So this is going to be a nice, probably sideboard card, maybe even a main deck card. Obviously, it interacts with all the sneak stuff. I don't think there's any other cost reducers in standard. Obviously, in modern, you have stuff like Ruby Storm. This is going to be probably less effective than like a card like Mage Vein Lizard, but it's an option there if you want a can't be countered NSC 3/2. In number 4, we have Does Machines. So this is part of the class cycle from this set. So it's a blue and a 1. When this class enters, mill 2 cards, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. That's a lot. That's a lot of velocity. Level 2 is 1 in the blue. When this class becomes level 2, return up to 2 target artifact cards from your graveyard to your hand. Again, that's a lot. 2 mana, get 2 things back. Basically, this almost like replaces itself and then a bit, so it's card advantage. And then level 3, you spend 5 mana at the beginning of combat on your turn, put 3 +1/+1 counters on target artifact you control. If it isn't a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot. So less so maybe the end part, but it's there. Like, the level 3 on Storm Chaser's talent doesn't always come up, but when it does, oh mama. So I haven't put any cards with this because I genuinely don't know where this goes. because the effects are a little bit all over the place. Like the first one is like really great velocity in any graveyard focused deck, so Sultai Reanimator or Demir Excruciator. Um, and then but the second part is then wants you to be playing artifacts, which I don't know if there's any deck right now in standard or back that wants you to both be playing artifacts and to have initial graveyard velocity from an enchantment. So it's all these like weird factors that like the card reads to be powerful, the card reads to be very very good, but you just don't. I don't know what to do with it, and I don't know if maybe you just care about the first part is where you ignore the other level 2 and 3. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do. I don't know, but this card reads very powerful all the same. In number 3, we have Krang Mastermind. This one is the most obvious of them all. Play lots of robots, do Kappa Cannoneer, do Krang, do whatever, refill your hand, keep going. Like, it's the affinity plan we've seen for the last six or so months. It's had it ever since Edge of Eternities, brought Pinnacle Emissary and brought Affinity back to the forefront. This is just another card in that Affinity package. This is reminiscent of the 7 mana 2/2, the one that Thought casts, Thought Monitor. But this one will probably draw you anywhere between 4 and 3 cards. Usually 4 to 3 cards. The buyout's usually going to be 2. But it's nice in the fact you can hold counter spells. So if you've got Metallic Rebuke in your hand, you can just go to 1 card and then cast Krang, and you can still hold out your Metallic Rebuke. I don't think I need to go into too much detail about this. This card just seems powerful. Whether it sees play, I don't know. The toughness is okay, but it's still very, very killable. Chicago Solitude is still in the format, so this maybe is just going to be draw free, 2 mana draw free. Number 2, I have Cool But Rude. Now, Cool But Rude seems to be a shoe-in Monument decks. Maybe in some versions of the deck I'm going to replace Monument, like if against the Rakdos Monument, maybe it just becomes Rakdos Cool But Rude, because you don't necessarily care too much about Monument, and Monument is a little bit slow comparatively. Or maybe you're replacing some number of Artist Talent. I don't know. This seems to go sweet in these Monument style decks, so Lessons and Rakdos Monument. So it is a a red and a 1. And it's whenever you attack, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So it's another one of these classes, level 2 for 1 and a red. Whenever you discard a card, this class deals 2 damage to each opponent. And then 1 and a red again for level 3. When this class becomes level 3, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, shuffle, then discard a card at random. Whew. So this guy's all about discarding cards. And the reason, I know there's been some discussion about whether this sees play in Lessons or not. I think it does, because Cool But Rude basically represents both Artist Talent and Monument in your deck. I don't think you play all 4, you probably only play like 2. But it represents both of these cards. So if you have Monument and, I don't know, an Otter from Storm Chaser's Talent, then Cool But Rude is the starting block that lets you discard a card, get some more card advantage. Much like a Grand attacker. If you've got a Grand, it's 2 discards, so Monument's great there. You get to draw first and then do your 3 damage, so you keep your card advantage going. If you've got Artist Talent but no Monument, you level this up to level 2, and then this is the last part of Monument. You just shock them. But rather than being 1 per turn like Monument, you can just spin your wheels through your deck and just go, okay, ding 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 ding, and just deal a bunch of damage when you need to. And then the last part obviously being Gamble. Gamble's great. Like 2 mana Gamble is insane, because it's just going to be, I've got 4 or 5 cards in my hand, 2 mana, spend it, go pick up the best card in the scenario. Like there's a 1 in 5, I discard it. Oh well, if I do. If I don't, great. So it could be picking up other copies of Cool But Rude. It could be picking up Monuments, and and then maybe Rakdos likes this more because it has more creatures and wants to attack more often, so you get more out of this first part. But I think this is going to be a very good card, and I think it's going to slot into these monument style decks. So, last but not least, we're almost there. And final reminder that you can get all your singles, sealed product, not just Turtles. If you like older stuff, I say older, not vintage, but older sets. I've seen Strixhaven in recently, original Strixhaven. So get yourself down to Full Fire for sealed product singles. Best selection, I'd probably say, in the southwest area for singles and sealed product. So get yourself down there. And last but not least, number one is Super Shredder. Now, Super Shredder is a black and a 1. It's a legendary creature, mutant ninja human. It has a menace, it's a 1/1, and whenever another opponent leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Super Shredder. Now, you might look at this and go, oh, that's interesting. What that actually transpires is when your opponent, in Modern especially, when your opponent looks at you funny, put a +1/+1 counter on Super Shredder. If they crack a bauble, +1/+1 counter on Super Shredder. You crack a bauble, +1/+1 counter on Super Shredder. You will then crack a Scolding Tarn, or if any fetch land, +1/+1 counter on Super Shredder. It can grow insanely quickly. Yes, there might be times your opponent just goes, alright, fetch, fatal push, kill it, but there's also be times where your opponent goes, oh, and can't deal with it. So like, there's a deck with like Moon Shadow, Super Shredder, and I haven't pictured it here, but one Chi-Tong. So you've got these 2/2 drops that really punish your opponent for fetching. I think this is going to be more of a modern card than it is a standard Pioneer card. In standard, it's going to be a lot harder to get permanents leaving the battlefield other than you removing them. So it's not like Moon Shadow where it just cares about stuff going to the graveyard. This has to specifically be on the battlefield, so you can't just discard cards. So I think this is going to be probably just a modern card, or modern and further anyway, I should say. But yeah, no, it's looking like a good card, and this is looking like a good set. So, he says, trying to click through, there we are. Thank you guys for watching, and like I say, just one last reminder, get all your singled and sealed product down at Full Fire TCG. I hear they're going to have the best selection of Ninja Turtles in the southwest of England. Check us out on Google. We have a website. So it tells you what we do, our schedule, stuff like that. But all sales are in store only. Best prices for the best people. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next set for another top 10 cards.